Welcome to the Naked Coach Collective. We're not just your average coaches, we're your powerhouse of inspiration and your no-nonsense guide to unlocking your hidden potential. We are an eclectic mix of four, each with a unique journey, but we share a passion for transformation through coaching. Tune in every week for topical discussions and witty banter on all things coaching. There might be a few laughs along the way too, but don't be fooled. We're serious about helping you navigate life's twists and turns with clarity and confidence. Are you ready? Sit back, relax, and immerse yourself in the Naked Coach Collective podcast.
Oh God, I've got a split right on my skirt. Sorry about that. Ian, I've traumatised you. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God.
He's got all red, bless him.
Do what you want. I don't care.
That's the song. Come on, let's sing it. Do what you want. Okay, no. I just remembered what the third line of that song is, so we'll stop there.
Always thinking ahead, Dee. Always thinking ahead.
What was I saying?
You were saying that's a really good point there when you're talking
that's it.
about
That's it.
coaches.
You can tell my coaching sessions easy because I don't know what I'm going to say. Just like, I'll just carry on.
Can I just say I'm BBC? Brilliant B's coaching.
I wondered where I was going there.
I just got any initials after my own name. Sorry.
I was about to just log off and just leave you two to it.
Sorry. Carry on.
Early exit for Ian.
Okay.
Oh, that sounds wrong as well. Oh dear. Sorry, what was the question?
It's me.
Do you want to see my cleavage?
Come on in. I dare you.
I see my inside side boob.
Anyway.
Sorry. I just went off on one then. Shall we just start? I'll get started, shall we?
Go for it. Just ask the question.
Oh, okay. What?
An interaction.
I've got it. How do I get into coaching? Okay. So, hello and welcome to another episode of the Naked Coach Collective. You're here with myself, Ian, D, and B. That's Deshana and Belinda. And today we're discussing how do I get into coaching. So for any budding coaches out there who are thinking about getting into coaching but don't know where to start, this is the episode for you. I'm just going to read off a few little things that our organised friend D has done. It's what does accreditation mean? What accreditation bodies are there? IAP, CM, ICF, ACEM, CC, IAC. I don't even know what any a lot
I
of
do,
them
don't worry.
are. So why don't you start, Dee, with talking about the accreditations of coaching and
Okay.
what's out there for people and how to get into accreditations.
All right. Here's the thing. Why why get accredited? What is an accreditation? What does it mean? Is because I do remember starting off this journey with coaching and having to find all this stuff out for myself. So basically what we have here, I envisage this session turning into what I would have liked to have known 2-3 years ago that I haven't had to go out and find out for myself. So our listeners can have the benefit of our experience, which is exactly what we want them to do.
Yeah.
So from an accreditation perspective, I always came into this thinking, well, it's not government regulated, but there are many self-regulating bodies within this profession, if you like, and it's professional. So I looked into each of them, and Ian very kindly reeled off a few earlier. So the ICF, the International Coaching Federation, is probably one of the best known, the largest, the one that's been around for a long time and very well respected. So it's a good place to start
Mhm.
if you're looking at this. But you need, you need to do the work. You need to do a course. So so you need to do a course. So from a perspective of starting out right from the very, very start, I think the ICF is quite a serious one to get your teeth into. It's going to be an investment, a financial investment. It's going to be a time investment. It's going to be a commitment investment. And so for me, what I did was I did some smaller courses, some cheaper courses first. So did some courses that introduced the subject of coaching, got myself into, got a feel for it. I mean, I don't know, Ian, B, did any of you do any kind of research? I called it research because I knew ultimately I did want to get accredited, and the reason why I'll go into, but did you do any kind of research like that?
Yeah, I think it's important to, because it is a big investment for people. So it's important to know that this is something that you want to do. So yes, it is important for you to do that research and understand what kind of investment you're looking at, but also whether it's right for you. And like you say, Dee, it's an unregulated industry. And from a personal perspective, I didn't want to label myself as a coach without having the qualifications behind me to be a coach, if that makes sense. Obviously there's some kind of imposter syndrome in there anyway around that, but I obviously want the skill set and the tools that the accreditation provides you to be able to take into my coaching. But yeah, I definitely did quite a bit of research, and then I found the coaching masters as well, and they've got an absolute ton of stuff in there, what they call it, Coachflix, which is kind of like Netflix, obviously, with an absolute ton of training in there for a monthly subscription, which is only a small amount as well. So it was very affordable to get my teeth into and understand the world of coaching and what it was. I don't know, B, what your journey was like there.
So I'm not really. I wonder back now how I got into coaching, in terms of it just presented itself on one of my feeds, and I hadn't been talking about it or searching it. But as I think I said before, I was in therapy at that time, grief therapy at the time, and the coaching presented itself, and it was the coaching masters that came up first, but then another body of coaching came up, and it was a female led body of coaching, so it interested me straight away, and I delved into that, looked into that, and there was her, and then another lady came up, so two sort of very like well-known coaches, female coaches. And then I looked at, so you were able to do a little bit free, and then obviously the next thing up is that you pay, and it was a huge investment, to be fair, a really big investment that was out of the realms for me at that point. So I'd sort of like resided myself to the fact that it wouldn't be right now. And then, like Ian said, I found the coaching masters. You can do a certification in there, which is less, it's just the one down from the accreditation. So it's a shorter course, it's smaller. There's not so much, nowhere near as much value, but it's still valuable, and it still gives you an insight into coaching. And that's the one I did first, and I took a leap of faith and invested in myself. And I think it's really for people looking to come into coaching, firstly, do a bit of something that's either free or very low key, because if you've never done any kind of coaching before, or mentoring, or any of that, find out if you want to do it first. And then what I would say is, there is investing in courses and there's investing in courses. And I know that sounds strange, but I invested in the accreditation. Very, very pleased that I did. I wouldn't have had it any other way. Wouldn't have met you lovely guys if I hadn't have done. But I think the other thing I would say is that imposter syndrome thing also comes in with courses, because so many coaches get stuck in the realms of doing the next course, 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 because I want to be better, I want to be better, I want to be better. Okay. And actually, I think there is value in always learning. And when it's learning, say, I don't know, how to put yourself out on social media, when it's learning how to run a podcast, when it's those sorts of things, it's different. But if you keep doing courses all the time, but you never actually put yourself out there, do you see what I mean? That the value isn't there because you're not putting yourself out there, because what you're saying to yourself is, I need to do a bit more, I need to do a bit more. Because if I put myself out there now, what if I don't know the answer? What if I don't know the question? What if I, what if?
Absolutely agree. And by putting myself out there, I'm assuming that to mean practice. So, you know, you have to, you can do a course and practice and practice and practice. And then it ties in with Ian saying about mentioning imposter syndrome. You do the course, you practice, it starts to chip away at your imposter syndrome. So the more you learn, the more experience you get, the less imposter syndrome in that way affects you. And there's a reason I say it like that, because I don't think for a lot of people, and from what I gather, even as successful as you get, and you know, there's always a level of some sort of an imposter syndrome going into that. And imposter syndrome is just a case of, as we've already talked about in a previous podcast. So the reason it's valid here is because in your head, you've got all this conversation going on. I'm a coach. I'm good at this. I really am good at this. Oh my God, they're doing a much better job than me. Why have they got 10 clients and I've only got one or none or whatever? You know, it's all happening in your head. So the way that I deal with imposter syndrome, and I do have it, and you know, I see things happening. I think, shit, I should have known that. You know,
Well, the other one is, I should be doing that.
I should be doing that, but it ties in with being your authentic self, and you think, okay, nobody does me like me. I just have to be what I am, and you have to. I've almost sort of tried to flip it around and say, everyone's like Marmite. You love them or you hate them, and that's really fine. So learn, build your confidence through knowledge and practice, and that will help you to lessen that imposter syndrome. The more you know, the easier it becomes to put that I'm not saying that the imposter syndrome goes away. The easier it becomes to put that to the side and rationalize it, because you know more.
And I think the other thing is, when you're early on and because you do have this habit of watching people who are in the same sort of coaching niches as you, and it's to learn to take that, because it's so easy to watch that and go, oh my God, they're so much better than I am, and they're doing that, and you know, they're saying that they're earning this much and whatever. And the one thing I would say to you is, watch them from a totally different perspective of that. Watch them from the perspective of, right, they're great, they're further ahead than me, so I'm going to glean some information here from them. I'm going to maybe use that. No, that doesn't work for me because that's not who I am. So look at it from a different perspective. Don't look at it from the perspective of, oh my God, I'm no good, they're doing it better than me, this, you know, they're earning more than me. And if you do that, you'll be able to watch and learn so much more from these people. And the second thing I would say is, remember, what everybody puts out on social media is that what they want everybody to hear. It's not necessarily true.
From my perspective on the imposter syndrome, I kind of like it in terms of at every next level I'm going to go to, there will be imposter syndrome at the very start of that next level. So I know that I'm moving on to that next level in that moment when I get that imposter syndrome. So I look at it as a kind of achievement that, right, okay, I've got to the next level now. What's the imposter syndrome here, and where is that coming from?
I mean, that when you say that imposter, how does it feel? What's that feeling that you get?
It's like a nervous energy. It's like a gut nervous energy, and can I really do this? Am I really going to be able to do this? Me? I mean, who am I to help these people? Those are the kind of conversations that you have in your head. Or I certainly do anyway. But then once you get into, get experience, should I say, they kind of disappear, and then you're just in the zone. And you know that you can help these people. Yes, I can help these people. I absolutely can help these people. I'm this person to help these people. And these people would benefit from my help. But then when you move to the next level, whatever that level is, whether it's like taking it to, I don't know, group coaching or masterminding, whatever it is, there's going to be that imposter syndrome then. Who am I to help all these people on just this one call? How on earth am I going to be able to do that? You know, and then there's that nervous energy and that almost that fear of like, oh, do I want to do this? Shall I just cancel?
But can I just say, when you're
Yeah.
feeling that nervous energy and you're thinking, can I do this? Can I do somewhere deep down inside, something is telling you that you can.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
It is. It's
Mhm.
listening to your intuition and not your head. Yeah, because your head will always try and rule you. It's fear for me. For me, my imposter syndrome comes from fear. Okay. So if that starts in my head, the first thing I do is, if that question comes up, you know, can I do this? I'll ask myself one or two questions like, why can't you? Why can't you? And have you done something similar before? I didn't waste my time doing that accreditation to sit here and worry about imposter syndrome. You see what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, no, stop it. You've just done that accreditation. You are more than capable of doing this. Stop it and start.
That's a really interesting and completely different approach to how I do it, because I am so bad at catching myself when those thoughts are going in my head. I don't catch myself and have that conversation with myself. I just have to plow on.
Let's go back to the accreditations, because I think,
Yes,
you know, that we need to make sure, if we're saying, how do I get into coaching? We talked about the ICF. So the other big one is the International Authority for Professionals for Coaching and Mentoring. There's the Association of Coaching, so AC.
EMCC, what was that one?
EMCC, European Mentoring for Coaching Council, and then
the IAC,
the International Association for Coaching.
She's got them in front of her, hasn't she? I just literally got the letters. I didn't do any research.
She was one up on you tonight, Ian.
Yeah. I'm just reading what she put in the WhatsApp group.
So no, but all of these bodies, you know, they all have their merits. So you need to look and see which, bugs. You need to look and see which one appeals to you, which one covers the areas that interest you, which one is affordable. And there are lots of different schools and training bodies where you can get this training. Like B mentioned earlier, one of them was way too expensive, and there's a huge range. You know, I mean, I've never really explored, you know, and I saw something come up on my Facebook feed today, and I thought, this isn't, get NLP certified for $7. And I mean, if you're going to look at it as a stepping stone to learning something about the subject rather than learning to become an NLP trainer, coach, then yes. But that sort of thing always scares me, because I think, while it isn't regulated, you know, you have to have a bit of meat behind you, you know, and a £7 course ain't going to cut it, I don't think. That's my opinion, you know.
It's a bit of authenticity in that you've done the work to get where you are, and the word certifications in there. Now, like I said to you, and you know, in Coachflix you are able to do a certification, and that's just, it's just a small course that gives you a really good insight. There's good work in there, but if you want to do this as a job, okay, and you want it to become your full-time job, accreditation means a lot more, and you'll learn so much more by doing that as well.
Okay, so certification is it's just saying that you've learned a certain amount.
Yes.
There is no governing body, even a self-regulating governing body behind it, that says everything on this course has been looked at, evaluated, judged for its efficacy, judged for its power,
Content, quality,
all of that. So a certification does not do that. So But an accreditation, because it by its very nature means that the body that is giving you that accreditation, for which you work towards from different various schools, training bodies, you will have met a minimum standard.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why it's accredited.
That course has a minimum content,
Yes.
has minimum like requirements that it has to meet to
You
be
have
able
to pass
to
that. So
yes, exactly. You have to pass it,
you have to pass that. So you have to show
Tells she's
commitment.
a teacher.
But we did though, didn't we? I mean, if you think about it, further down the road, we had to submit a coaching session. We had to do a questionnaire type, thing. We had quite a lot
to do the learning. You had to do the learning. So you can't just, you have to show up, you have to do the work, you have to put in the effort, and you have to bring yourself to it as well. That's what I thought, because everything that I learned on any of these courses, I try to see how it affects me, how I would deal with it, and how I would do it for myself, and how I would use it with my clients.
Yeah. And I think the other thing for me that I like about certification, so now I'm accredited as a coach, there's loads of other things that I want to learn that will help with my coaching. But I'll always start off with a bit of certification, like do the certification side first. One, because it's cheaper, it's less of a commitment, but two, because I can then say, okay, I've learned that bit. Did I like it? Do I want to know more? Or actually, I like the idea of that, but it's not for me and it's not for my coaching. So I'll leave that there and I'll try that over there. Do you see what I mean? It's like an ever evolving thing, isn't it? And the certification side of it gives you that opportunity to try. It's almost like a try before you really invest. I don't want to say try before you buy, because most certifications there's a cost involved, but it's like a try before you invest in the full course. And I think that's really important.
Absolutely, but it also gives you some background. So when I started doing accreditation work, things were familiar to me that they weren't familiar to me before, and it would have been harder to get to pick those up. So this is the second and third and fourth time I was hearing these terms, so I was able to pick it up a bit quicker. So
I think it's important to talk about kind of price points as well. So as you were saying, Dee, that $7 certification, yes, is a certification, but that's not really going to give you the tools that you require. So it is an investment. And I know when I joined the accreditation with the coaching masters, that's thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
It's not just under £1,000, it's thousands of pounds worth of investment. There are obviously accreditations out there that give you the accreditation for less. We're talking less than £1,000 and maybe £700-800, but the ones from what I've seen, and I've not researched it heavily enough, but from the ones that I did see, they didn't provide as much in terms of the ability to join workshops and interact with people and get to practice coaching with other people going through the accreditation with you. So they were literally just teaching a video course to you, and then you submit like one practice session, but you have to go out and find a practice partner yourself without any kind of guidance or jumping on those workshops with people. So I think it's quite important to understand what you're getting for your money as well. I don't know what you two have seen.
No, I mean, I've only the female ones, the two female ones that I looked at very first of all. I mean, we were talking 10,000 plus. So for me at that point, that was a definite no, not for me. And so when you you are right, there is an element of, if something's too cheap, what's the catch kind of thing. But then also there's an element of spend in that, what do I, and I think everything that you look at, if it won't give you the detailed breakdown of what's included, then that's a red flag to me anyway. Because if a company are selling a course, any of those companies are selling a course, to me, if you can't get the breakdown of what that includes, then I would be dubious about what's included or what isn't included, depending if we're talking really expensive or quite cheap. The other thing I would say is do what resonates with you as well. We all have different ways of learning and different people that we resonate with. So it's doing what resonates with you as well, I believe. Some people might need a much more one-on-one experience all the time. And if you are going to go down that route, you're going to pay more for it. Yeah. Because obviously you're taking that person's time as one person.
Absolutely. So in terms of, obviously, once you've got the accreditation and you've got that qualification behind you, how do you then, or should I say, how has it impacted your coaching and how you coach your clients?
I think it's something, for me, it gave me the confidence. It was learning, and Dee said this before, but it was learning that I don't need to have the answers. That's not my role. My role is a coach. I ask the questions, I facilitate, but I don't need to have the answers, because that person's got to find the answers for themselves. The answer that I might think it is for me is not saying for that other person. So I think it got that quite clear in my head, because when I did certification, I was like, oh God, I'm going to need to know a lot to be able to do this. And then you do accreditation, then you realize actually that's quite different. It's skills that stay with you for life, but it also, I've got coursework that I refer back to all the time for various reasons. You know, I might want to look up, or I might think, oh, what was that particular exercise we did that got that out of that person? That would work for my client, I think. You know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I've, I mean, B, you might have seen it when we've been on a couple of our sessions, but I've literally got on my screen there, like just notes. And stuff that I think might be useful at that particular point in the session, going off what our last session was.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can pull up types of tools from the accreditation that we've learned that I think might be useful in this next session. And, you know, obviously not everything's going to apply, but yeah, it's a reference point for me moving forward. For any coaching session that I'm on, I've got everything there as a reference point, just in case I don't know the next question to ask in that session. But you can always move the session along in a certain way once you've got those reference points next to you as well.
See, that's another reason why you need to get a quality course, so that you've got quality notes that you can use. You know, and these courses that you spend a lot of money on, they do generally give you lifetime access to all their materials. So
they do, yeah.
You do have,
and they get updated regularly as well.
Yes. So that's an important factor, because you will not remember everything that you do the first time. You won't. Oh, can I throw a spanner in the works?
Yeah, go for it.
No.
Well, I'm going to. He said I could. So what if we have listeners out there, and there will be, who do not want to have an accreditation, who feel so strongly that they've got something to share, something powerful within them, you know? So we know that there are coaches out there who do not have these accreditations, you know, of course, and you know, the Tony Robbins and you know. So what if they're thinking, okay, hold on, I don't want to do an accreditation, I just want to start coaching. I've got my own framework ideas in my head of how to build up my coaching with my clients, and I just want to start coaching. Advantages and disadvantages, and ups and downs. Thoughts?
Well, my first thing I think is, if it's there, it's in your head, you've got a framework, you've got a plan, you've got an idea, have a go. Because by stopping yourself and doing the accreditation, you could actually end up putting imposter syndrome into yourself. You understand what I'm trying to say? And the thing is, if you have a go, and you might get a bit of traction, might not get a lot, you know, and it works, you can learn on the job. So if you then go, do you know what, I've done that really well, but I need more. Because that's what essentially might happen, mightn't it? Someone might have that framework, might have the ideas, might know, but then they go, shit, I need a bit more. Okay. And if they're doing that, but they're still putting themselves out there, they can learn on the job.
I come from it from a similar point of view, and from my perspective, coaching kind of gets a bad rap because there are people out there who haven't gone through accreditation, calling themselves coaches and just scamming people, effectively. But from my perspective, as long as you're coming from it from a point of view where you want to genuinely help people, there's a sincerity behind what you're trying to do, then yeah, absolutely. And if you've proven to help people, then why not? Why not?
That's the key. If you can, if you get a track record, helping people, to achieve what they want to achieve by talking to you,
Yes.
then that's fair enough. What you possibly won't get is lots of people wanting to work with you because they may want to know that you have a certain standard. But your word of mouth is the way, the way that you will grow. If you're good, accredited or not, if you're good, if you get results, then that's fine. But then there are things, there are things in the coaching world, the few rules. There aren't that many rules, but there are rules. Like when you're coaching, you're not mentoring, you're not teaching. There's the difference is the things that you learn in your in your courses, and asking the right sort of questions. And these, yes, you might have the experience of going through a really nasty divorce, or whatever, and then you've got that experience and you're helping. But while I think it's really okay if you've got that framework idea in your head to go ahead and start doing whatever, as long as you're getting results, I do think that there are certain things that are good to learn. It is good to learn how to formulate questions in such a way that you're bringing your client out of themselves, and things like that, which are not necessarily intuitive.
Before coaching, I would have maybe imparted and said, oh yeah, well, when that happened to me, I did X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
Right, okay. That's not coaching.
No.
Okay. So if that's how you think you've got results, that's not coaching. That is imparting information that helped you because you think that will help them.
It's kind of mentoring. It's mentoring, isn't it? So, and in my role as a project manager as well, there's so much mentoring involved in that, alongside a bit of coaching. So within that role specifically, you're mentoring junior members of staff to become a project manager. So you're showing them the ropes, you're inviting them onto calls, letting them watch you in action and how you handle things. So it's very much a case of, this is what you do in this situation.
Touching on what you said earlier, Ian, about the coaching and the mentoring, just to clarify the difference, where you're mentoring somebody in an area in which you have experience, knowledge, and expertise. So they are looking to you for guidance in their role, and you know more than they do. So that's what I would think from a perspective of a mentor. But a coach does not know more than their clients on their subject. So either professional or obviously of their own personal being, but in whatever field that they're going for, wanting coaching in, the coach does not know more. The coach should not presume to know more. And it's this is where the different, it's like, you can put the sports analogy in here, can't you? You can say like a tennis coach is not a better tennis player than their trainer, than the person that they are coaching. So from that analogy, your coaching and mentoring is very different. But that being said, you can't, there's not, you can sometimes have a situation where giving some sort of your own opinion might really help your client. Now, if there's it doesn't I try not to do it very often, but if there have been a time when I thought I could really say something that would help them, not necessarily giving advice, but just that would help them, I would just ask their permission. See, there's something that I think may help you. It's not necessarily coaching, but would you like to hear it? Would you care to hear it? Or whatever, however it works out. And they usually say yes, but I try not to. I try not to, because I think it's a solution is far more valuable if you get there yourself.
Absolutely, but it's also like, I don't know, if I took a client and I was trying to help them, I was trying to coach them to have better time management. If that person has never done any kind of time management or any kind of time management course or anything like that, they may not have the full knowledge to understand what that would look like. So you might say to them, so how would it look like for you if you were to manage your time? What would that, what does that sort of bring up in your mind? Would it work like, is it computerized? Is it diarized? Is it, but if you've got knowledge of time management things that are tried and tested, but 2 or 3 different ways, you might then say to them, okay, so what's your preference? Do you like computers? Do you like diaries? Have you thought about? And I think that's slightly different, because that's what you don't know, you don't know. Do you know what I mean? So it's not telling them what to do, but it's assessing their ability and their knowledge to, one, understand the question, and two, be able to come up with the answers. If the answer is about a system, putting a system in place, you might have to give a little bit more.
Yeah, this is where, from my side, obviously at the very start of kind of my coaching programs, it's always a case of just pure coaching. That's what it is. It's just pure coaching. But then once we're like a couple of months in, it's then starting to move on to the mentoring side. But then we're still kind of flicking in between coaching and mentoring, and sometimes they might slightly overlap. It's quite difficult to go to know in your own mind, in my mind, when to stop mentoring and start coaching when someone's maybe having a hard time, and then realizing, right, they just need help with a mindset here, so let's go back into the coaching side of things. It's quite difficult to go from one to the other, and there may have been occasions where I have obviously stepped over, but I always try to approach it from what you were saying, Dee, where you say kind of maybe make a suggestion here if there is something, because it is what I do obviously is business orientated, but that's after we've gone through all the coaching itself. It's then a case of, right, okay, so you got all these options, what's best going to fit what we've talked about previously in the coaching. So it is difficult to kind of get from one to the other and constantly be in the
but without your training, Ian, would you have been able to do that? This is the thing.
No, I literally would have been just mentoring them. I would have just been mentoring
because
them
that's constantly. What you know. You know.
Exactly.
And I think that's what we're trying to get to. You know, for those of you out there who are thinking about it, you know, if you're thinking about it, do a bit of trial work on cheaper courses, little bits and pieces. Firstly, to make sure it's what you think it is, because I think a lot of people come into coaching not realizing what it is. And secondly, to get a feel for it, whether you think it's going to be something that really sort of rocks your boat. And then if it does, look at courses. Look who, you know, the bodies that govern them, but also look at what's included in them. How do you learn? Because I'm a great one for learning by talking, okay, by interaction, but some people don't like that. Some people don't want to learn like that. Some people are happy to watch a video, write down notes. Do you know what I mean? So I think everybody has a different learning style as well. We know that from our courses. So it's finding what works for you. But I think the most important thing, can I just say this? Out of everything, the first session, proper coaching session you give, okay, whether it be with a coaching buddy or or one of your clients or whatever, the very, very first sort of proper session, as I call it, if you leave that session like, oh my God, I freaking love this, I'm bloody great, I really enjoyed that hour, then you're in the right role.
That's good, because it won't have been easy. The first session's not going to be easy. It's going to be stressful.
Stressful.
Do it again.
And you're constantly going to go, am I doing all right? Am I doing all right? Am I doing all right?
That's it. You're so much in your head. So much in your head. And you're going to be really nervous as well.
You are. And on this point, I'd just like to say, you know what? You've got this far. You've got your client in front of you. Trust yourself and stop listening to your head and listen to them. Because that's your job. So
listen to you.
Stop. Just even in your first session, just listen to your client. And if you don't say very much, so what? But I know there's going to be a need to say. From that as well, you know, I would say get yourself some sessions with some coaches, several coaches, you know, whatever you can afford, you know, get some being coached practice. So you see how other people do it. And you see where you fit in, where your style fits in, because you can be coached by 3 different people and they will all be completely different. And all of us 3, our coaching styles are all completely different.
I feel like it's a really good point in terms of being coached yourself. And there's a great, I'm going to steal Rich Litvin's sayings again. I love that guy. He says you can only take people as far as you've been yourself.
Yes.
Which is a really good saying, which I kind of want to get across to people, that you do need to be coached yourself.
I agree with you. Yes, you do need to be coached for your coaching, but also, in those first initial waves of learning to coach, watching other people do it is so valuable as well. And if they're doing it with you, so be it. But even if you watch videos of other people coaching other people,
Absolutely.
you just learn, and you'll see things, you'll start to pick up things as, oh, I probably wouldn't have said that, or I really like the way they've said that, or and all this becomes part of your coaching style. And it's not, it's learning. It's not, you don't emulate people, you don't be anybody else. We go back to your authentic self. You are what you are, but you are also a product of everything that you've learned. And
I don't know about yourselves, but when I listen to certain podcasts that people are being coached on, and when someone says something, I pause it and then I think, what question would I ask here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Constantly trying to figure out what question would I ask, and then I listen, and sometimes it is so different to what the other coach is asking on the podcast, and I'm like, how interesting would it have been if the conversation went in that direction had I asked the question I was thinking I would ask?
And do you know what? It's interesting you saying you listen to that and then you stop and you think, right, I'm going to ask that. What is he going to ask or she going to ask?
Yeah.
I think that's also indicative of us as people and the tribe that we attract to coach. Because if you watch somebody and you're watching their coaching style and you're like, and then they do something, you go, oh, I wouldn't have asked that question. Now I would have asked that question. That's where we are totally different as coaches, and that's where we attract our tribe, if that makes sense. Because the people who resonate with you and the way you say things are your tribe. It doesn't, sometimes I might watch a coach and they might be a really good coach, but it doesn't resonate with me. Because it's a different style, or it's a different, product or whatever. And that's great, because the beauty of coaching is that we all have our own style, and our own style attracts our own tribe.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing I think I want to say about coaching. If you're a new coach and you're newly qualified and whatever, be you. So you can watch all the other coaches in the world. You can watch Tony Robbins and all those guys and girls that are out there are fabulous. And you can get ideas and you can glean information and whatever, but never be anybody but you. And this is, something I've learned, and it's something Ian's constantly telling me as well.
Nobody does you like you.
Correct. Yeah. And, you get used to the fact that not everybody's going to love you. Okay, some people may not even like you. Good. But you know what? Does it really matter? Because if you like you, there'll be a tribe out there that also like you.
So for any of the listeners out there who want to, as we were talking about, get into coaching, but they want that starting point, as we were talking about, the Coaching Masters do offer something called the Coachflix. And it provides a lot of value. So they, as B was saying, they do certifications. So it's kind of foundation level in coaching, NLP, and all these other good things. But not only that, but they teach you how to set up a business for coaching. Yeah. So there's a lot of value in there. What we'll do is we'll provide a link. We will enclose that. It is an affiliate link. But we'll provide a link for you to go and you can check it out and see for yourself whether you want to be a coach or not.
Absolutely.
Lovely. Thank you, Ian. Be there.
Be there.
And be naked.